You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.
Hello, this is Paul Stefan, and again, welcome to another edition of Maryland Politics here at TV Free Baltimore. And today, our guest is Joe Hooe, who is running for the state Senate seat here in District 12. Welcome, Joe.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're glad to have you here. A local boy here.
Well, that's right. I live right down the street.
You couldn't get any closer to the station.
Pretty much been here my entire life.
That's good. Now, tell us then, start there. Tell us a little about your background, your family's background.
Well, you know, I'm a lifetime area resident, a husband and father, past member of the Lansdowne Volunteer Fire Department. Pretty much born and raised here, you know, in my dad's business. Mm-hmm. I'm a Johns Hopkins University graduate, and I've run for office before.
Right.
Yeah, I've been a first place Republican nominee for the House of Delegates several times. Mm-hmm. And so I've been around for a long time, been very active in the community.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, that's what we want to see, a little bit, get us represented here. I mean, I should bring that up a little bit too. How this district, and especially the Lansdowne and the southwestern Baltimore area, because I'm not going to leave out Arbutus, I'm not going to leave out Baltimore Highlands, we don't get what other places in the county get. And so I think maybe somebody like you can change that because you know the needs we have.
Well, I mean, I think there's no question about it. Southwest Baltimore County has been suffering, and it's been deteriorating over the last 20 years. And it's really sad to see because as a lifetime area resident, a person who's grown up in this area, in a small business where you interact with people every day, it's a shame to see a couple of things. One, to see the loss of small business and to see the mass exodus of the good people that have always lived here and kept this area propped up. You know, we still have a lot of folks who work for Baltimore County in the fire department, for example, or in the police department, but they've decided to leave and live in other places, like Anne Arundel County, or further north in Baltimore County, as opposed to staying here and keeping our community tight and strong. And I can't completely fault them for that because there hasn't been any investment, particularly in Lansdowne, for a long time. I mean, our schools, although we're getting some renovations and a new elementary school, our high school is still in a state of disrepair.
Right, exactly.
It's needed desperately. Our shopping centers are in trouble. Small businesses are leaving and struggling, and there don't seem to be any incentives for rebuilding or revitalizing.
That's true. I mean, I'll get into that in a minute with you because I wanted to get into local issues. But what, with your background, working with your father and going to the college and having your own businesses, what did you decide to get into politics, and why did you decide to get into politics?
For all the reasons I just mentioned.
Okay.
I mean, look, I raised a family here. You know, 2 kids all the way through college, and they attended local colleges as well as all the local schools. And I've seen the problems and the need. And I've been involved with repairing a lot of the problems. For example, right here along the Hemisphere Road corridor in 2002, I think the first big job I had for the community was to get the sagging utility poles removed along the Hemisphere Road corridor. At the time, Shorty Miller was our community association president, and each meeting, the residents were concerned about the danger. They were concerned about these poles that threatened the safety of our motorists as they would drive up and down Hemisphere Road. And for years, John Kraushofer, God rest his soul, wonderful man, and Shorty Miller were trying to get these poles removed, and they couldn't do it. So I didn't understand why it should have been so difficult. They appointed me chairman of the sagging utility pole committee, and I went to work on it. And within 30 days, we had those poles removed, and it made news.
Great.
So, you know, that really energized me, and to be able to work hard and find a solution to a problem when elected officials and other people just didn't want to put in the hard work to get it done.
Right.
But I was willing to do it, and I was able to get it done.
Well, it's great. So, because I mean, that's part of where we are. Now, the other thing to look at is, as you mentioned, you have run for office before. Was 3-4 times, something like that?
Yeah, that's right. I've been first place Republican nominee for 4 times.
Okay. And some people would say, well, why are you still out there running if every time you go out you lose?
Because I'm passionate about it. It's not my fault that I'm losing. I'm running in a district that's been changed at least 2 times to keep people like me out of office. And I think that's a shame. I mean, gerrymandering, it's really it's borderline criminal. And it's so frustrating, not just for me, but for a lot of people, that any party would design a map to keep good people out and to keep communities who need help down. That's the way I look at it. I just refuse to give up. I'm passionate about serving the people in District 12, and I'm not going to give up on them. And you know, when you look at the numbers, we've always been so close. So it's a worthy cause.
Right.
I can't give up on something that I believe in.
Because I know that in the last election when you ran for House of Delegates, you were the top vote getter amongst Republicans and finished 4th overall,
Right.
we might as well say, and it's only 3 seats. But you were only 12 or 1,300 votes off.
That's right.
That was fairly close. I don't know what that is in percentages, but you were close.
Just a few percentage points. And keep in mind, that's in a district where no Republican had ever run before, because it was a new gerrymandered district designed to keep Republicans way out. And in my opinion, the reason that district was changed the way that it has been is because in 2010, we got within maybe 150 votes of taking the House of Delegates seat.
Oh.
And then the very next election, Columbia had been added in.
Right.
And nothing against the good folks in Columbia, but the fact of the matter is they were added to the district to stack the deck against us. And hey, look, they need help just like everybody else.
Right.
But
of course.
you know, that's the underbelly of politics. You know, it's not just Democrats who do it. In some other states, it might be Republicans. But whoever it is, it's wrong. Gerrymandering is wrong.
Right.
And it is absolutely wrong to keep good people out of office who have the passion and the ability and the ideas that we need to improve our communities.
Well, good. In this year, there is an open seat in the House of Delegates. So why this time, I don't know if it was your decision or maybe you can tell me, why State Senate when you say, oh, well, there's an open seat, maybe I'd slide into that seat in the House of Delegates and we get a Republican in the House. Where did it come from, the decision for you to run for State Senate?
That's a great question, and the simple answer is because that State Senate, I certainly didn't expect to see an open Senate seat. Senator Casemeyer, who I believe is a gentleman, has been in office for a long time, probably about 30 years.
Right.
I don't line up with him politically all the time, but I think he's worked hard for our state, and I appreciate what he's attempted to do, with the exception of this District 12 map. But yeah, the reason I chose the Senate seat is simply because what I've always been about is achieving or going after a position where I can do the greatest amount of good for the greatest number of people.
Okay.
And I think that the State Senate is that spot. Again, I didn't expect this seat to open up.
Right.
But when it did, it seemed like a natural extension of the work that I've been doing in the community and in politics. And it also positions District 12 uniquely. I believe we're going to get Larry Hogan, our Republican governor, reelected.
Okay.
He's a great guy. And I believe that we're going to get Alan Kittleman in Howard County reelected. And in addition, Al Redmer in Baltimore County. With this Republican lineup, and a Republican state senator from Lansdowne, we can get the funds we need to make the improvements that we need. Nothing can stop us from doing that, because the one thing I can tell you is that I work extremely well with all of those gentlemen that I've just mentioned.
Okay.
They're good guys. They're committed. And I'm excited about it. It's a tremendous opportunity.
Can you also work with people across the aisle?
I can. You know, I've always been, and I think everyone knows, I'm a bipartisan guy. I'm not your stereotypical politician. I have a good relationship with Councilman Quirk. He's a person that'll take my phone call. And even though there have been difficulties in this area, I don't point at him or blame him completely for the lack of improvements, because I've seen times when people in his office and himself have worked very hard. What I think is that it's teamwork. If you don't have a good team, you can't get great things accomplished.
Right.
What I can tell you is that I can work across the aisle. I do have relationships with a lot of people. And I'm about the closest thing you're going to get to an incumbent senator, because I've been in this a long time.
Okay. That's good to know. Now, in the general election, because you are running unopposed, voters need to know you're running unopposed, that November comes, it's going to be either Clarence Lamb or Mary Kay Siggety, I think, and one of those two. Which one of those two would you rather run against?
Well, I think I'm going to win, and I don't think it matters which one.
So it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter which one, because I think that I have a unique set of skills and unique ideas which are going to differentiate me in the district. And they are the things that are going to get me elected. For example, there are a lot of problems in Maryland. There are a lot of problems in District 12. And they all come down to the same thing: money.
Right.
All comes down to resources. I'm the only candidate running in the state of Maryland with a plan to raise $350 million a year without raising taxes. And I want to do it by creating an immigrant pay-to-work program.
Okay, well, talk about it.
Whereby all of the undocumented workers in Maryland would be required to purchase an annual temporary right to work for $1,000. And any employer that wishes to hire them would be required to purchase a blanket hiring certificate. Those permit sales alone will raise $350 million without raising anybody's taxes.
For the state of Maryland.
For the state of Maryland, and that's
And even for
before
this
income
district.
and that's before income tax revenue.
Okay, and for this district, too. We'll get some of that.
Yeah, sure. Of course we will, because I have, as a senator, a person that Governor Hogan desperately needs. By the way, he needs 5 additional senators,
Right.
so that we can protect his vetoes. So he's got skin in this game. He's a person that wants to see Lansdowne and Southwest Baltimore County and District 12 as a whole do better. He's told me those things himself. So, yeah, I think we have a tremendous opportunity with creating additional revenue and putting that revenue where it's needed the most.
Right.
We can make quite a difference.
Because that's one of the things I was bringing up to you is about, local issues of District 12. And one of the things, and it's been in the news recently, is throughout the state, they have developed these opportunity zones for small businesses. But I saw that southwestern Baltimore County was not one of these opportunity zones.
Begs the question, right?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, it's poor leadership. It's a lack of leadership. And some of the names that you've mentioned, who I'm potentially running against, or will be running against at least one of them, they're already in office. So they're already not doing their part.
Either one of the people you're going to run against are currently in office. Yeah.
I can guarantee you I'm going to do my part.
Okay. Because I think what they were saying, the excuse was that certain areas didn't get opportunity zones. They were only given to places where programs were already in place. It was like these opportunity zones and tax breaks for small businesses was to enhance stuff that's already there, which kind of leaves this area begging again.
You know, what I really think it is, I think if we're talking about southwest Baltimore County, and really if we're talking about District 12, it's considered to be a Democratic stronghold. And the people in this district are taken for granted. They're added right into the guaranteed vote column. Those votes shouldn't be guaranteed.
Right.
Because people are being let down, people are suffering in District 12, and particularly southwest Baltimore County, and we need to change that.
Now, I would say that because I talked to you off camera. It seems like, I guess part of your district, does it go down Washington Boulevard into Elk Ridge?
It does, goes down, that's exactly right. It goes down Washington Boulevard to about Montgomery Road and then out through Ellicott City and into Columbia.
Because I was going to say, you look at things like Route 1 or as Washington Boulevard, they have Diago now, the people who have the Guinness Brewery. And I said, I saw you at openings for a new Elk Ridge firehouse.
$16 million.
And Lansdowne has been wanting and needing a new firehouse for, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 years.
Yeah.
And
over 30 years.
Yeah, a long time. And also,
I mean, 40 years ago, I was 10 years old spinning a carnival wheel to raise money for the Lansdowne Volunteer Fire Department's new firehouse.
Right.
It still hasn't happened.
Right.
That was 40 years ago.
There you go. And then a new library for Elk Ridge, which I've seen. And
at least another $16 million. We're talking over $30 million worth of improvements.
And that's all happened down there. And that's your district.
That's right.
But it hasn't happened here. And part of that might be, if it's at the state level, again, we'll bring in people I know right now in the House of Delegates, not Senator Casemeyer, but 2 of the 3 current seats who are the ones are running again, well, not 2 of them, one is running for state senate, Lamb, and Dr. Hill are both from Howard County. And Ebersol's from Baltimore County, I think Halethorpe. But so again, it seems like Howard County got the goodies because that's where these people live. And, of course, Mary Kay Siggety is also in Howard County. She's on the Howard County Council, chair of the council this year. And of course, Clarence Lamb lives in Howard County as well. So, again, if you want to say, if you want a local choice who knows the needs of this district, it's Joe Hooe.
That's absolutely true. I mean, look, the reason things are happening in Howard County is because you have a strong Republican county executive who gets along very well with the governor of Maryland, and he has a strong Republican delegation in Howard County. And they're able to bring the funds back to the county that he needs to make the needed improvements.
Right.
What's going wrong for the southwest Baltimore County portion of the district is, you're right, 3 of the 4 members that represent us in the General Assembly live in Columbia. And obviously, they don't have very much concern for this side of the district.
Right.
And I mean, some people may think that's unfair to say that, but the fact of the matter is, southwest Baltimore County is in decline. And so something is not happening correctly. Something's going wrong. And I think they're a big part of what's been going wrong.
Right.
So as a state senator, we can change that. Again, I have a good working relationship with hopefully Al Redmer. I truly hope he's our new Baltimore County executive. Good man, very capable, team player. He cares about the community. Alan Kittleman and Governor Hogan. Just to get started, and then from there, if we can pick up a couple more seats in the House,
right,
all the better.
And in the Senate.
Well, of course,
you want to be veto-proof, you know.
Yeah, we need those 4 other things, but we need 4 other senators. But we have those real opportunities. They've been identified. I mean, you've got a strong race over with Christian Mealy. He's doing well. I fully expect him to be able to pick up that seat. So, yeah, it's promising. It's actually very exciting.
Well, very good. Now, you talked a bit more about the economy. I don't know if anything else you want to bring up to that as far as like jobs or job creation or anything like that. I think maybe weave that into your feelings about education. Go ahead, talk about ideas about how to improve education in Baltimore County and what could happen.
Well, look. First of all, right off the bat, we need to pass legislation to get immigration under control and to get this immigrant pay-to-work program established so that we can raise the millions of dollars that we need to build schools, to expand VOTEC programs, and to get us back on track. That is an absolute must. Yeah, I think that we have real opportunity. I think people are suffering here in Southwest Baltimore County. We need to identify and create incentives for small businesses. We need to make sure that people stay in our communities. We need to invest so that our policemen and our firemen stay here in this county because it's that promising. We don't want people moving out. So we have to invest in these things. Yeah.
Now, what about crime? Because one of the things we've mentioned on our live streams, you should look at some of our shows, is how people from Baltimore City have moved into Baltimore County, but the people who have moved in have lower income or they're not working at all, so it's not improving the tax base at all. And also, subsequently, some of the Baltimore City, crime is coming into our part, and I guess all over Baltimore County, because the current county executive is trying to really push subsidized housing and to bring those people into the county.
Well, you know, I've known that this has been coming. The first signs were as far back as 2000 and 2002. Believe it or not, I was talking about this very problem 16 or 17 years ago at the local community meetings. And the reason that I knew there would be this issue arising was because of the tremendous growth that's taking place in South Baltimore with Under Armour and now the building of Port Covington. I mean, we're talking about tremendous investments in old South Baltimore. As a result of the improvements down there, the poor people are being squeezed. And you know what? They need help too, and they need somewhere to live, and they need somewhere to go, and we need to help with that. But we weren't prepared for them to rush into Southwest Baltimore County. And our county executive apparently wasn't prepared to help them resettle or rebuild and become better citizens who could own businesses and help the economy and create jobs. It's really, really a shame, and it's a missed opportunity. So what do? Well, there's a lot of things we need to do.
What can we do?
I think that, first of all, when you talk about crime, you need to talk about training your police, properly staffing your police, supporting your police, and your firemen. You need to make sure that you're supporting your teachers, paying them adequately, investing in your schools. And you need to create incentives for small business ownership. So these are just some of the few things that we must do if we're going to turn this thing around.
Right. Now, what about another thing? A lot of the issues for candidates that I've interviewed, and we've had a lot of folks in here, is about the opioid epidemic. What do you have to say about the increase in the use of opioids and the problems that come with that?
Well, obviously, drug addiction is a terrible thing. Drug dealing is an even worse thing. I think we need more treatment for drug addicts and drug users, and we need stiffer penalties for drug dealers. I think drug dealers are the problem. And so it's a two-part approach to dealing with that. A third thing is, though, we need to set a good example.
Right.
You know, I don't have a particular problem against anyone who uses marijuana, for example, but I don't agree with it. And I don't think that although we shouldn't tell adults what they should and should not put into their body, I think that we need to make sure we have a good example. We need to protect our kids. We need to shelter them from this type of mentality and behavior. We need to support our police so that they can enforce our laws. You know, a big problem right now is that we have a lot of good laws on the books, but it doesn't seem like anyone's enforcing those. And the police these days aren't enforcing those because they're afraid of what's going to happen to them. I mean, think about it. you've got 20 years on the job, and one bad arrest, one, even if it's a good arrest that's scrutinized, that's that's turned into something that it wasn't, you could lose your pension, you could lose your freedom. There's a fine line that we're walking here between what's best for the public and what's best for the law, but we are a society of laws. We have to obey laws, and we have to support our police when they enforce the laws. They need to treat us properly. They need to treat us fair and equitably. They need to know their jobs, and they need to be trained properly on those jobs, and we need to do a better job of recruiting. But, right is right and wrong is wrong. We need to enforce the laws. We need to get tough on drug dealers. We need to get tough on criminals. And we need to have compassion for users. And we need to have a way that when we get them off of drugs, we have a way to develop them, give them skills, retrain them, and reintroduce them to the workforce.
Good. I mean, other people say when you talk about laws, a lot of people think the judges have been too lenient, giving people very weak sentences or putting them on probation, and even people who already have established records. Maybe there are some of those cases.
Yeah. But, all in all, I think if you would ask the average person on the street how difficult it is to have someone arrested these days, I mean, it has to be a very, very serious offense for someone to even go into a court. Whose fault is it? I guess it's all of ours for allowing it to get to this place, for allowing our leaders to not perform, to not recognize, to serve, to get paid, but not to do the work.
Oh, boy.
And so that's what I really think the problem is. But it's not complete. There's a lot of good public servants out there.
Right.
Elected and appointed, sworn and civilian. We need to expand that group of people. And we need to hold non-performers accountable. And the voters need to hold non-performers accountable. And they need to elect people like me to the state senate who will work hard for them, who will come up with ideas that we need to improve our way of life, generate revenue without raising taxes, and get the job done.
Well, good. You sort of almost gave the summary there, which is what I want you to do, is to go over here, because that's your camera, look over there, and tell people in a few short words why they should vote for you.
Because I have the passion and commitment. I have what it takes to fix our most pressing problems. I have a plan to raise $350 million per year by creating an immigrant pay-to-work program whereby all undocumented workers in Maryland would be required to purchase an annual temporary right to work for $1,000. Again, this will raise $350 million a year without raising taxes. Money that we can use to fix our failing infrastructure. Money we can use to improve our way of life. Money we can use to build new schools and keep our kids safe. And I hope that the voters of District 12 will give me a chance to serve them in the Senate because I care. And I'm ready to do the work. And that's more than I can say about a lot of people. So please, vote for Joe Hooe. And remember, you'll always know with Joe Hooe. If you'd like more information about my campaign, just log on to joehoe.org or check me out on Facebook.
There we go. You got a hold of me there. I was going to say, give them your contact information, and you beat me to it. But anyway, great, and thanks for stopping by, Joe. And don't be a stranger. There's a lot of time between here and November. We may even have you and whoever the Democratic opponent is in here for a debate.
That'd be great.
Or at least
Thank you very much.
Or an issues. We won't call it a debate. We'll just say it's an issues and your counterpoints about that certain issue.
Well, I'll be happy to come back anytime.
Okay,
Thanks
terrific.
for having me.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, again, that's another of our shows to get you ready for voting on June 26th and also in November here at TV Free Baltimore. We hope you'll stop in again for another one of our shows entitled Maryland Politics. So until next time, I'm Paul Stefan, and have a great day.
You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.